Hi, welcome to TYA Talk. I am David Strickle, creator of the TYA Mindset Practice. And we are going to talk about everybody's favorite topic today, allowing abundance to flow. First, I want to talk about what I mean when I say abundance. Abundance is whatever you desire. So it's not necessarily money or material things. It could be abundance of joy. It could be abundance of good health. It could be abundance of travel. It could be abundance of serendipitous moments and interactions with people. All of the things that we prefer in life are how I define abundance. So we talk about the vibrational spiral quite a bit. When you're up your spiral, you are more connected to source. You're calming your ego a bit when you're up your spiral above neutral. And in that space, you are naturally more abundant because source is the source of all creation. Source is the source of abundance. Source is joy, clarity, and abundance when we talk about those things. That is what source is. And source is sending abundance to us and to planet Earth all the time. However, when we are in physical, we have a consciousness about us that is unique to our physical environment. In this case, for humanity, we refer to it as an ego that serves to be a discerner of preference, but also serves to separate us from source consciousness. It's what we're operating in when we get below neutral on our vibrational spiral. More ego means less source. And when we detune our ego, we allow more source. When we are operating below our spiral, that time is designed for us to attract things that are challenges for us. And of course, if we linger down there, we will build momentum with our challenges and life will become more challenging, all the way down to despair, depression, basically creating an exit from the earth environment if we stay down there long enough. Interestingly, however, we can create our exit from the top of our spiral also, simply because when you get so high on that virtual vibrational spiral that have really detuned your ego and you're just in a state of blissed out joy, if you hold yourself there long enough, you will return to the energetic realm. You will become a being of the energetic realm. You will exit your physical vehicle. That sounds a little odd, thinking, well, that's abundance, and I want to experience an abundant life. And if I get to the top of my spiral, why would I be exiting if I am allowing pure source? Well, when you get really high on your spiral, you stop desiring because you are operating as a being of source almost completely with very little ego, meaning there's very little need for anything. There's very little desire left because you're so blissed out and you are so joyful in that space of source. That may sound like something that everybody wants to do. However, we did not choose to project into this physical environment just to be blissed out in joy all the time. And there's very little evidence of anybody really doing that, because I know that as I have practiced and I have detuned my ego and I've allowed abundance to flow absolutely in every way, I can get really, really blissed out and really at the top of my spiral where I don't really care for anything anymore. I had this experience in 2022 and 2023. And when I'm up there, I get bored. There's nothing new to create. There's nothing new inspiring me to create any expansion of consciousness in that space. So instead of staying up there and essentially exiting, I created a spin out for myself. I created a couple of spin outs for myself. I created a scenario that would lower my vibration back down to a more sustainable level. So the whole idea of allowing abundance to flow, I know that in law of attraction teachings, it sort of gets conveyed that you can just have everything that you want and you're going to have this perfect dream life and you're never going to have another challenge again. I never talk about that, other than referencing those teachings, because I don't believe that's why we come here. We don't necessarily come here strictly to suffer, but there is expansion of consciousness available to us in our suffering experiences, because the suffering part really is just a matter of our judgment of them. Anything can happen to us and we can choose to appreciate it rather than suffer in it. I know that sounds crazy if you're new to these teachings. How in the world could I not suffer if something tragic happened to someone that I loved? I understand that. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't suffer if something like that happened to me. I will say, however, that I have met some challenges in the past few years personally that most anyone would have suffered in that I didn't suffer in at all. I met them in joy because I've been practicing this long enough. And it was a very expansive experience to meet the challenge in joy, move through the experience, and allow my expansion of consciousness to be a very different experience than the suffering experience. So it's essentially understanding that all of the judgment that we have learned is exactly that. They're learned judgments. Society tells us how we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to think. Think about someone who has something bad happen to them that the world really piles on and tells them what a victim they are. Oh, that's horrible. That's terrible. That should have never happened to you. That's the worst thing ever. You're going to be damaged for the rest of your life. And you believe that. You start picking that stuff up and start believing that negative judgment, and then that becomes your story. I have met people like this. I've had people that had this situation come through TYA boot camp where they were really tired of being the victim and tired of telling the same story over and over and over again, but they felt like it was so ingrained in them that they couldn't just stop it. So that's why they came into boot camp. And boot camp is a great place to work that stuff out because we are systematically detuning transgressors for a 12 plus week period of time in an environment with the time and the tools and the accountability and all of the coaching and everything that you need to do that stuff. So that's why the boot camp experience is so transformative, because the main thing that we're doing in there is detuning transgressors. And we're in the process of detuning our transgressors, we're detuning our ego, which automatically allows more source, which automatically brings about more abundance. We are not spending a whole lot of time in the boot camp environment focusing on affirmations and vision boards. We do all of that stuff, but it's like a blip compared to everything else that we're doing. We're playing with that a little more intentional creation. But the vast majority of the work that is done, and any of the boot campers will tell you, and you know who they are, they're pretty public in the groups, that most of the work is the detuning stuff. It's the detuning your transgressors from early childhood, detuning your current day transgressors, detuning your own ego. And when you start detuning all of that stuff and lower your ego, you're not going to eradicate it, but you're detuning it, you're lowering it, more source naturally flows. It's like this balance that we have going on. And what's happening across humanity is that we have, with all of our technology and all of our community building and all of the institutions of control that we've created that has advanced humanity, we've really learned to expand our ego and drown out source. We really have, because we live in fear. We live in anxiety. We have all these mechanisms that are built to instill fear. You better behave a certain way and do these certain things or you're going to suffer. And it creates this constant state of fear, this sort of dull anxiety that most of humanity is running on. I call that vibration the vibration of compliancy. I always say compliancy because it is the act of compliance. So that compliancy vibration is below neutral on your spiral. It's about a -5, which means you've got some ego going, certainly. I mean, some source going, certainly, enough to find joy in your daily life, but you've got more ego flowing. So if you are stressed out, if you are experiencing anxiety, if you have significant transgressors, things from your past that continue to loop around, continue to represent themselves as new transgressors or new challenges in your life, you've got some detuning to do, however you do it. And the teachings are all about everyone that wants to practice this starting to understand that, yeah, the vibrational spiral really is so important because it allows you to understand your nature and allows you to understand the nature of all of humanity, understanding where they're coming from. Even the people that you are judging as awful and evil and terrible human beings, when you have a degree of understanding of them, suddenly you're not as judgmental of them. That's what we call appreciation. In fact, we refer to it as radical appreciation, because the concept of appreciating the unappreciable is radical for most people. Because when I start talking about this stuff, inevitably somebody new to the teachings is going to pipe in and say, well, what about XYZ, this horrific thing that happens to other people or maybe happened to me, and there's just no way I'm ever going to appreciate that. I will tell you that I've been working with people in TYA Boot Camp since 2018, and we have had every horrific topic I could possibly imagine come through there. significant abuse, significant loss, significant sadness and trauma and things like that. And while it's certainly not a mental health program, but coming at that stuff from a spiritual perspective of appreciation does wonders for people that believe in these things. And the important thing to remember is that the power is always within us. This is a mindset practice that I'm teaching, and you can choose it or not. And there are other mindset practices, even religions and belief systems out there that serve those who give that power. In the end, it's all about your choosing to give it power. I believe this thing is the right thing for me, and I'm going to dive headfirst into it, and I'm going to give it power. If you do that, it's going to change your life. It's going to transform you. Whether you get into TYA boot camp, just read the book, or just listen to the podcast, starting that practice and starting that momentum going in that direction is going to start changing your life. Because really, the way that we change our life is not to make some big sweeping change and expect everything to be different. That's not going to work. You probably heard the term, wherever you go, there you are, which means if you think that changing jobs or changing relationships or moving to a different city is suddenly going to bring happiness when it's always eluded you, you're going to find yourself in the beginning excited about that new thing that you're doing. But in time, you're going to find yourself right back into the old vibration. And you're going to find yourself in the same issues with your coworkers or the same issues in your relationship or with your health that you've had before. And it gets very frustrating. You start thinking, gosh, this is like Groundhog Day. I'm just experiencing the same unwanted stuff over and over again. And a lot of people will say, well, the universe is trying to teach me a lesson. Well, really, the universe isn't judging you and saying that you need to be taught a lesson. The universe is simply delivering on your vibration always without judgment. The lesson, the lesson teaching is all built into you and your vibration. The things that you're holding on to, your life's transgressors, the unwanted people, circumstances, and events, all of that stuff is always there. And a lot of times we'll start doing some work and we'll gloss over it a little bit and we'll think that we're better. And then time goes by and we find ourselves getting triggered. And we love to explore triggers in this practice because our triggers are indicators of what's going on in our subconscious mind all the time. Whatever's triggering you, I promise you, it's always there. It's always running. It's creating a drag on your vibration. It's bringing your vibration down. And that is the root cause of all of the stress in your life. All of the things that you're judging as should not be are your manifestations created from your lower vibrational space. So when you start cleaning up these transgressors, authentically cleaning them up, we're not bypassing at all in this. We are diving as deep as we can possibly go into our life's transgressors, and we're viewing them differently. We are viewing them, as I say, through the eyes of Source. Source is authentic appreciation of all creation. Source is the source of all creation. So why would Source create any element of our world or anything else and not appreciate it? But it's hard for us to understand when we suffer. And it's harder for us sometimes to understand when we see other people suffering. And we've learned to judge that stuff. This shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be. This is awful. This is terrible. It's got to be stopped. And what we do see across humanity and in our own lives, the things that we judge as should not be and stop there and just continue to push against, notice how they stick around. We very rarely solve those things by pushing against them. In fact, we never do. Usually the solving comes in either our boredom with it, and we just take our focus away long enough to allow more source to flow on the topic, and then it does get solved that way in time. Time does heal. Or we actively allow that source perspective to be our perspective. It's very, very, very avant-garde, esoteric for humans at this point to appreciate the list of things that we're never supposed to appreciate. And again, appreciation is deep understanding. It is not celebration. We never have to celebrate our life's transgressors. We don't have to even interact with our life's transgressors if they're people. We certainly don't want to attract more of it, though. So understand that when you are focusing on something with great emotion, when you are focusing on something with that should not be mindset, there's a lot of emotion behind that. Well, what's that doing? You're turbocharging that vibration. You are sending a very clear message to the universe. This is what I'm focused on right now. Well, the universe, not being a judgmental entity, is going to say, Okay, more of that. And we see evidence of this. This is why life is not fair and it never will be. This is why we're not all living the same existence. This is why there are two people that can have relatively similar lives and have vastly different opinions of their life experience. Like two siblings growing up in the same household, maybe a year or so apart, and having very different recollections of what their childhood was like. Even though they had the same parents and the same income and the same education and the same religion, vastly different opinions. I grew up in a situation like that, I can tell you. And that's because we're all independent strands of consciousness, discerning our own preferences and creating our own reality from that experience. So, if the desire is to allow more abundance to flow, it is always going to be found in the detuning of your ego, which means the detuning of your life's transgressors. Understanding when you're operating in ego and when you're operating in source, and allowing more source and less ego, and understanding that you do not change vibration overnight. Something that you have spent a lifetime creating has a life of its own. It is energy. And that energy is not going to just be stopped. It needs to be redirected. It needs to be retuned to something different. And when you do this work over time, you will be far more successful at changing your vibration, your default vibration. What's going on right now in your life is a reflection of your default vibration, which is your belief system. And I can tell you by what's going on in your life how good or unhappy your life is, where you are on the vibrational spiral. If you're generally happy and joyous most of the time, and you have a lot of things flowing to you that you want, and you're able to navigate your challenges, you're probably a little above neutral on your spiral, which is a really good place to be. Most of humanity is not there. Most of humanity is operating below neutral on their vibrational spiral. And I do have an entire vibrational spiral training that I will link in the notes later today of this interaction, so that you can go take that training, because it's very valuable information that I want to share with everybody. Boot camp or no boot camp in your future, I want you to have this information so that you understand your vibrational nature and you can start doing this work when you're ready. And everybody, I always say, boot camp is a big deal. It costs money. It takes time. It is a big deal. It will always be a big deal, because I don't want to have to do anything. I want you to take the full 12 weeks. I want you to have lots of coaching. If you're going to take boot camp, it's going to be a big deal for you. If you're just getting into TYA and these teachings, don't think, well, I'm never going to be able to spend all of that money. I'm never going to do that. So I'm not even going to bother with this stuff. I will tell you, I teach TYA everywhere for free all the time. I teach it on the podcast. I teach it here. The book is $20. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it doesn't cost you anything to read it. I put it all out there because I want humanity to have this. Boot camp is a highly transformative, amazing experience. And when you're ready, you will get in it. I have seen people that have no job and overdrawn bank accounts manifest the money to get into boot camp. I am very confident in everyone's ability to get into TYA boot camp when the time is right for them. Just put that on a shelf, and when you're ready for it, you're going to know that you're ready for it, and you will flow right into it, and it will absolutely change your life when you do. But don't think that you can't practice this practice until you go through boot camp. That's not true. I know that comes out sometimes, but we do celebrate our boot campers. These are people that manifested their way in. Most of them, it was a challenge for most of them. Very few people, it's not a drop in the bucket to take TYA boot camp. So it's a big deal to do it. But as soon as you believe, you will get into TYA boot camp. I have seen so many amazing situations. I even had a homeless person come through boot camp and paid for it. So if you're interested at all, I'll also put a link about TYA boot camp in the notes here. You can set up a time. I do almost all of the enrollment meetings at this point, so you can meet with me. We can chat about it. I don't obligate you to anything. I don't force you to do anything that you don't want to do. But anybody that wants to take TYA boot camp, I want to talk to you. And sooner or later, we're going to get you in there. So book a meeting and talk to me about it. But back to our topic to close out. I like to go about half hour on these, and I have 10 minutes left. I really want to make sure that you understand that the allowing of abundance is not something that you have to sit and think about. It's not something that you have to meditate on. It's not something that you have to do these affirmations about how abundant you are. Because a lot of times when we're doing that stuff and we haven't cleaned up the things that drive our disbelief, the low vibration stuff that really drags our total vibration down, all of that stuff is like you're saying something, but the back of your mind is contradicting it. And it can be very, very, very frustrating when you do that. I'm saying that I'm wealthy. I'm saying that I'm healthy. I'm saying that I'm abundant. I'm saying that I am loved and that life is great. And when I'm in this moment, I feel it in the moment, which is nice. But then what are you living when you're not in that meditation or that affirmation time? Do you get back into your life and then go right back to your default vibration? You probably do. We all do that until you get a practice together that starts systematically changing your vibration all day, every day. You don't do TYA boot camp for a certain amount of time, and you don't do the TYA practice for a certain amount of time. It's a way of life. In boot camp, you're starting to weave this mindset into your all day, everyday life. You don't take time away from work and travel somewhere to do TYA boot camp. You do it in your life. You do it while you're raising your kids and you're taking care of your elderly parents and you're going to work or you're running your business or you're also going to the gym or you're, whatever it is you've got going on, you're learning TYA while you're doing that. And you're practicing TYA all day, every day. Do you fall off the wagon with it? Absolutely. We call that a spin out. Spin outs are wonderful because when you start building momentum and things start getting better, you'll level off at some point and you'll think, okay, I've hit a plateau. Usually a spin out is exactly what's going to move you ahead of that plateau in your practice. And then you will really be thankful for the spin out because you'll see how it levels you up. So allowing abundance is about understanding that whatever we discern as a preference is our abundance. And there's nothing in the world that we can discern a preference for that is too much or wrong or should not be. That does not exist. The energetic realm is not judging. That's why some people have hundreds of billions of dollars and yachts and mega mansions, and other people are starving to death. I know that seems very unfair, but we have zero evidence that the universe is a fair entity, that the universe is a judgmental entity. I do not believe that a multi-billionaire did something good in their last lifetime and they're rewarded for it in this lifetime, and that the poor starving child did something bad and they're here paying for that. I don't believe that. That doesn't even make sense logically to me. Why would a creator of the universe create something in a system like that? And when I really got deep into the stream was when I really came to understand that just because we're celebrating someone in a 3D sense, from an ego perspective, look at this person. They have so much money and they're so loved and they're so celebrated. That doesn't mean that they are having a joyous existence. We see plenty of non-joyous billionaires, right? That aren't living in joy necessarily. And then you see the little kid running around, almost naked in a mud puddle somewhere, probably, not knowing where the next meal is coming from, laughing. We see that in this world. We see that reality. And it was made very clear to me by the stream that a soul chooses its path for the expansion of consciousness that it is seeking, not for the ego-driven 3D human experience. That's all human stuff, thinking that cars and yachts and clothes and all of that stuff are equal happiness. It can bring happiness. And certainly there's a certain level of comfort that money provides in this world. That's the system that we've created. But the expansion of consciousness comes in moving through challenges. So think about that. The soul that is projecting into a challenging situation is seeking expansion of consciousness in the having of the experience without judgment from the energetic realm, because that soul is eternal. That projection of you, that version of you, that eternal version, source version of you, isn't judging your human life the way that you are. That version of you exists. However, you've got this ego that you've adopted in this lifetime that is giving you this human experience that separates us from source, all of us. So we all have this journey of contrasts, highs and lows and everything in between. We move through these periods. I call it the vibrational landscape. We move through a period where we're up, and then we're going to move through a period where we're down. And the down period is there to inspire us toward new creation. The judgment of it is something that we have created in our collective consciousness across humanity. I call this the matrix. The judgment of the low period is, oh, we shouldn't experience that. That shouldn't be. Oh, that's terrible. It's awful. You shouldn't be experiencing that. All of that language that seems comforting on the surface really is just creating a mindset that we should never have a challenge. But we all have challenges. And if the challenge is already manifesting or has manifested, there is zero value in judging it. That whole should not be judgment just creates suffering for you, and the should not be judgment on behalf of others, that's lowering your vibration as well. And I promise you, if you want to help your fellow human, viewing them in appreciation of exactly where they are and what they're experiencing actually sends more positive energy than the, oh, you poor thing, that shouldn't be, you shouldn't be experiencing that vibration that we've been taught to have. We've all been taught this stuff, I know. But I have witnessed enough people coming through boot camp and really applying TYA in their lives and really transforming their lives to where I know now this isn't just some odd thing that I did for myself. I've been teaching it to other people. I know how to teach it to other people now, and I see the transformation that happens. So if you have questions about boot camp, I will put a link in, book a time. It does not cost you a dime to meet with me and find out all about it. I always want to meet with anybody that's that interested in really applying yourself. But again, it's a big deal. There's going to be an investment of time and money and absolutely effort on your part. So just be aware of that coming into the meeting. But if you have a curiosity about it, book the time and let's talk about it. And if you're not ready for that, that's completely okay. Don't feel like you can't be part of our world. That's why I have a free Facebook group and a free podcast. And that's why I teach this stuff every time I'm a guest on a podcast somewhere. I'm not on there talking about boot camp as much as I'm on there just teaching about TYA, because I want people to hear about this. It's an amazing way to live your life. You can talk to and interact with other people, especially if you're watching this in the Facebook group, who have been through that, who do practice this, and they continue to see the benefits and continue to practice. It's just a framework in which you can live your life in harmony with universal law that strips away all of the human crap that we've all taken on throughout our lifetime. And when you start doing that, abundance starts to increase naturally. You don't even have to think about it or go looking for it. Your life becomes more magical. And I will end here with another little interesting tidbit. One of the things that we do in detuning our ego and detuning our transgressors is we no longer need the stuff to be happy, to be a joyous being. The stuff that we think we need, very often we look at it and think, well, gosh, if I had that bigger house or that nicer car or that new wardrobe or that great vacation or that perfect partner, I would be happier. I will tell you that my perfect partner did not arrive in my life until after 50, and my perfect partner did not arrive until I finally learned to stop thinking I needed that and to start really focusing on loving myself, which put me in the vibration of being loved. That was a massive, massive thing for me to finally understand, because I grew up being told that I wasn't worthy, I wasn't wanted, I wasn't loved. And so I believed that story to some extent about myself. Even though I was doing all of this work, I still had a little bit of that going on in the background. When I finally detuned all of that, that's when these quote unquote soulmate or twin flame, however you want to refer to that stuff, I don't really use those terms, showed up for me. And it's amazing. The same thing with financial abundance. I realized that I had all these attachments to how my financial abundance would flow, even though I was always a financially abundant person as an adult. Having grown up poor, believing that money was the answer to everything, I spent the first 20 years of my adult life really focusing on money, still believing that I know, I've got the stream in my head telling me otherwise, but I'm really doubling down on I've got to manifest money to be happy, until I got myself into a situation where all the money was gone and all the stuff was gone. Then I realized, wait a minute, I'm still happy. I'm still operating in a happy, joyous way and not stressed out, not freaked out about being completely broke. And from there, financial abundance started coming in very magical ways, very, very, very magical, unexpected ways, and continues to flow. And my lifestyle through all of that never changed, because the flow of money, I had a belief system attached to it about what I had to put out to receive it. Until I healed that, I had to put out to receive. No pun, no joke intended there. But when I realized that it can flow magically no matter what I do, from zero effort to a lot of effort, then the pressure was gone. So that vibration of need was healed and solved at last because of that. But I always had a belief that I would live in a nice house and drive a nice car and eat good food, and I'd be able to feed my dog good food and take care of my basic needs and live day to day that way. I have never wavered from that in my adult life ever, not even for a second, even when there was no money in the bank. The things just kept showing up. The conditions were always there for me. And I realized, well, my belief system is that yes, I'll always have a nice house to live in and a fancy car to drive. That's just my belief system. But I didn't have that belief system around money. I had to really do some work to detune that because it's such a big topic in our world that you got to work for it and you got to save it and everybody's out to take it from you and the government's going to get it if you don't do this, you don't do that. There was so much fear around all of that that I needed to detune. And when I did, I realized, oh, well, hell, it just shows up. It literally just shows up. So all of this abundance talk is really about detuning the things that are blocking it out, because when we detune the things that block it out, all of it, whatever our preferences are, just flow naturally. So if you're interested in TYA Bootcamp, I hope you'll click the link that I'm going to post in just a moment. Book time with me. Let's talk about it. You can look at on our YouTube channel. We have a whole compilation of testimonial videos from our graduates. We have over 150 graduates from all over the world at this point. We also have Trustpilot reviews. I know it's a little odd to have something like that on Trustpilot, but why not? I read reviews about just about anybody I'm going to do business with or anything I'm going to get into. So why not have Trustpilot reviews regarding this? I think you'll be very impressed if you go and do that little bit of research for yourselves. Book the time with me. Let's talk about TYA Bootcamp. Thank you so much for watching TYA Talk.